And there's the symbol. The Sarsen circle would have been 3 feet, the actual circle on this would have been 3 feet diameter. The star would have been 5 foot diameter. So I would have stood on this. And everything's 3. So I thought, okay, I'm standing on 1. The building's 2. Well, where's number 3? And it was when I looked up at the apex. There's the building. Oh, go back. When you look up at the apex, where the 10 beams connect, it creates a star. Exactly like the one I'm standing on. So you've got 1, 2, 3. Now, this is a picture of a bigger model. I didn't do very much with it. It was on display in Plymouth, in the town hall. People taking my picture there. I didn't have the outside of the building at that time. And many people came to see it. And the overriding question was, every beam goes to a stone, but the apex is wood. I put a wooden block in the top, and I had to hold my hand up. Maybe it should have been a stone. That's what I said. And at the end of the week, there was 3 people waiting for me, hippies, New Age travellers. And they said to me, could it have been a crystal in the roof, in the apex? And I just went, oh my God, how am I going to get rid of these people? Everything has to be crystals, everything. Oh. So I packed up, thank you very much, bye-bye. And I went home. And you know, I couldn't rest. Days went by. I was angry. I didn't want to look at it. Do you know, I had to look at it. As a scientific person, you cannot dismiss things prior to investigation. You have to look at it. So reluctantly, I looked at it. I thought, okay, if there could be a crystal, you know, if. And I put it in there in my mind. And you know, the first rays of sun on the summer solstice would have hit the crystal, refracted down into the room. And I thought, wow, come to think of it, all day, when you looked up at the apex, you wouldn't be able to look because the sun, if it was out, would dazzle. So it would look like the sun's in the apex of the building. So the idea of glass came in. I went to Dartington Crystal, the glass manufacturers. I spoke to this historian. He told me that glass had been around for thousands of years before Stonehenge, that they were quite capable of making glass. All the materials are there for glass. Little people made beads because they lived in earth floors, fire in the middle, making little beads. But this wasn't anything else. But do you know what this? I think of it as their NASA. This was their centre of excellence. This is where people, all the technology, all the power, everything they had was on display. And one of the things that Stonehenge was built for was to carry the secret of glass. Now, for a long, long time, I've been taking this model in my mind and thinking about this wooden floor. So every time it rained, I had people running up the roof and putting covers over the hole. Because the rain would have wet the floor and it wouldn't work. So if they could make the crystal, could they make the 10 sheets of glass to fill the hole? That was a big question, and something I never ever wanted to tell anybody about. Hard enough to just say it was a building, but to tell them that Stonehenge carried the secret of glass. Okay. There's the end. There's the hat. Now, this hole, this aperture, I now know, after many years of looking at the building, the fabric of the building, everything about the building, is so incredible they would not have missed what I believe, what I've seen. These last 10 pieces of wood, I believe, were cut at an angle, and they were silvered, so that when you look up I've done tests at Bournemouth University. When you look at those beams, the angle is wherever you are inside the building will only reflect sky. So imagine when you looked up at this hole in the roof, it was just a hole. The beams, you wouldn't have been able to see them 50 foot up. You wouldn't have known about glass. You wouldn't have just seen this great big hole in the roof. And you can imagine what it'd been like for people inside Stonehenge who didn't know this secret. And the rain starts to come crashing down. You can hear it pelting on the roof. And yet there's nothing coming in. They would have gone outside and got wet and come back and said, this is impossible. So, that's looking up at the crystal, that's the 10 beams which connect. And that blue object there is the actual size of the crystal at Stonehenge, which would have fitted in the apex. So you can see where each beam would have fitted, and the glass would have been put in, and you would never ever know. And there's another one there. I've made a 1/3 size. Dartington Crystal made me that small 1/3 scale model, which it's okay, but I want one that big. There's the crystal. There it is. Yep, we've got the real one here. And that's looking down on Stonehenge. And the thing I wish I'd done earlier. Do you remember before we looked at the barn and it went to the floor? Stonehenge goes down, and I had to put the wall in where the cupboards go. And I did this about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. It was another discovery. When I put the wall in, this section here, what I discovered was the distance from side to side is exactly the height of the Sarsen circle. And so is this. All the 30 walls are equal. I'm just astounded. And the height of the wall is half the height of the Sarsen circle. I thought, I don't make this up. This is amazing. So once I'd got that across there, and I could see it in my mind's eye, 8'4" to the top. There's a beam in the middle of each wall. 30 beams, 30 walls. And then we've got 30 doors. There's a door here. 10 doors. Remember the font where you got your water from? That's in the middle of that wall. So it was here, under that beam, was a font. And when you put that across, behind that was big enough for something I've been looking for 14 years. I've been looking all over Salisbury Plain, find out where they went to the toilet. It's one of the biggest mysteries. And there it was. And if you put a door on every one of those walls, a door on either side of that font, exactly, it fits exactly. There's now 30 doors. So you've got 30 walls, 30 doors. I mean, it's all too good. I mean, I could never, ever have done this. And there was an architect in Plymouth at the museum. He saw this model, he came to see me. And he was many, many years in architecture. And he looked at this building and he said, you could never have made this. This is the most astounding building I've ever seen. As architecturally, it is amazing. There's no cement. There's no screws, no nails. The whole thing locks itself together by gravity. There's no way you could have invented this. Amazing. So, oh, there's the toilet. Can you see? That's the bit. Now, there's the door there and a door there. Yeah. And above, that wall actually covered this stone, but there was the cistern, remember, for the water as well. So it all fitted behind there. It looks a tiny little space, but it's big, believe me. There's bags of room to go in and do the business. And I've made, this morning, I made a model. This morning, I'll come out and get it. I made this. Couldn't sleep last night. Got up early this morning and I thought, you know, that triangle, what fits here. Now imagine that distance across those 200 inches. 16 feet, 8 inches across there. That triangle. It's a big space. And I thought the room would have been triangular. So you can sit down and it's a nice triangular room. But no, Stonehenge would not have corners. So I chopped the corner off until it happened. I didn't do this, it was there already. What you have is a hexagon. You can examine it after the talk. But there's a beautiful hexagon fits in there. So there is no corners really. And you can walk in, close the door, sit down. And very private. And also accessible from the outside. I should imagine there would be a water closet, a water container of some kind, to be spirited away at a later time. So, next picture.